Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving deep into the amazing world of plants. I mean, really getting into their architecture. We're going to use the NCERT textbook as our blueprint to break down everything you need to know about the morphology of flowering plants. By the end of this, you'll have a rock-solid foundation for this whole chapter. All right, let's kick things off with a simple question. Have you ever actually stopped to think why a mustard plant looks so different from, say, a wheat plant? They're both plants, right? So what gives? Well, the answer to that is all about their morphology, which is just a fancy word for their external structures. And believe me, getting a grip on this diversity isn't just about acing your exams. It's literally the key to understanding how we classify and make sense of the entire plant kingdom. So take a look at this. This right here is the basic game plan for pretty much every flowering plant out there. Everything, and I mean everything we're going to talk about, fits into two main zones. You've got the root system, which is everything happening underground. Think of it as the anchor and the plumbing, pulling in water and nutrients. Then, everything you see above ground, that's the shoot system. It's got the stem, leaves, flowers, the whole shebang. It's all about climbing towards that sunlight. This is our roadmap for today. All right, let's get our hands dirty and start from the ground up. First stop, the root system. We're going underground to check out the part of the plant that holds it all together, sucks up all the good stuff from the soil, and as you'll see, sometimes does some pretty amazing extra jobs.
Okay, so what is a root system really? Well, like it says here, it's the part that's not green, it's usually buried in the soil, and it grows away from the light. Super straightforward, right? Its two big jobs are to lock the plant in place so it doesn't blow away, and to drink up water and minerals. But that's just scratching the surface. To really get what's going on with roots, you gotta know about the two main types.
And here they are, side by side. You can see right away how different they are, can't you? On the left, that's the taproot system. Think of a mustard plant or a carrot. You've got one big main root, the primary root, that just dives straight down, with smaller roots branching off. Now look at the right. That's a fibrous root system, like what you'd see on a wheat plant. There's no main root. Instead, the primary root is short-lived, and a whole bunch of thin, thread-like roots sprout out from the base of the stem. It's like a dense mat.
But what happens when a plant's got a bigger problem to solve? You know, like storing a bunch of food to survive the winter or holding up a massive tree. They can't just grow a new body part. So what do? They modify, they adapt. Plants are absolute masters at this. They take their existing parts, roots, stems, leaves, and tweak them to do a totally new job. Figuring out these modifications is like solving a cool puzzle, and for your exams, it's a real game changer.
Okay, now this is where it gets a little tricky, and it's super important for you to get this straight. Different parts can be modified to do the exact same thing, so you have to know which is which. Let's take storage, for example. A carrot, that's a modified root, but a potato, that's actually a modified stem. See? Same job, different part. And look at support. The banyan tree has these insane prop roots that literally grow down from its branches to prop it up. Or how about breathing? In swampy areas, plants like rhizophora grow these special roots called pneumatophores that grow up out of the mud just to grab some air. These NCERT examples are absolute gold. You have to know them.
Okay, we're moving on up. Let's travel up the shoot system to the plant's very own solar panels, its personal food factories. We're talking about the leaves.
So no matter what a leaf looks like, it's always built from these three key parts. Let's break it down. First, you've got the leaf base, right where it connects to the stem. Simple enough. Then you have this stalk called the petiole. Its job is to hold the leaf blade out, kind of like an arm, to get as much sun as possible. And that big, flat green part, that's the lamina, or the leaf blade. That's where all the magic of photosynthesis happens. And see those lines? Those are the veins, basically the leaf's plumbing system, moving water and food around. So how do we start telling all these different leaves apart? Well, the first big split is between simple and compound leaves. A simple leaf is easy. Its lamina is just one single undivided piece. But a compound leaf, its lamina is actually broken up into a bunch of smaller parts we call leaflets. So how do you tell the difference for sure? Here's the golden rule, the one trick you need to remember. Look for the bud in the axil, right where the stalk joins the stem. A real leaf, whether it's simple or compound, will always have a bud there. But those little individual leaflets, nope, no bud.
And this picture just makes it crystal clear. These are the two flavors of compound leaves. Check out the one on the left. That's pinnately compound, and the classic example is neem. See how the leaflets are arranged along a central stalk, the rachis? Just think of a feather. Now look to the right. That's palmately compound, like on a silk cotton tree. All the leaflets are attached at one single point, at the end of the petiole. It looks exactly like the fingers on the palm of your hand. Easy way to remember it, right?
All right, next up is a term that sounds complicated but is actually super simple: phyllotaxy. It's just the pattern of how leaves are arranged on the stem. And trust me, this is not random. It's a brilliant design to make sure every leaf gets its fair share of sunlight without blocking the ones below it. You've got three main patterns to know. There's alternate, where you get one leaf per node, like in China rose. Then opposite, where you get a pair of leaves at each node, like in guava. And finally, whorled, which is where a whole bunch of leaves form a circle around the stem at one spot, like you see in Alstonia.
And now, we've reached the headliner, the main event. We're talking about the most eye-catching, most important part of the plant when it comes to evolution, the flower. It's not just there to look pretty, you know? A flower is actually a super specialized, highly modified shoot. Its one and only purpose? Reproduction.
Let's take a tour of a typical flower, starting from the outside and working our way in. Okay, so first up, on the very outside, you have the calyx. It's made of little green things called sepals, and their job is to protect the bud. Step inside that and you find the corolla. This is the flashy part, the petals, designed to attract pollinators. Those two are like the bodyguards in the marketing team. Then we get to the real business end. The androecium, that's the male parts, and right smack in the middle, the gynoecium, the female parts.
Now, flowers don't always show up one by one. The way they're clustered on a stem is called an inflorescence, and it's a huge deal for telling plants apart. It boils down to two main types, and the difference is actually really simple. Just ask yourself one question: does the main stalk keep growing, or does it end with a flower? In a Racemose inflorescence, the main axis just keeps on growing indefinitely, and the youngest flowers are always at the top. But in a cymose one, bam, the main axis ends in a flower. Its growth is done, and because of that, the oldest flowers are at the top.
Okay, so pollination happens, fertilization is a success, what's next? Well, the flower's job is done. The pretty petals wither and fall off. Mission accomplished. The plant now switches gears and pours all its energy into its final, most important project, creating the next generation. And that means developing the fruit and, of course, the seeds inside it.
And this leads us to one of the most basic, but also most important definitions in all of botany. You ready? A fruit is just a mature ovary. That's it. After fertilization, the ovary ripens and becomes the fruit. And the seeds inside, those are the ovules, now that they're fertilized. So really, the fruit is just a brilliantly designed package, a little traveling case to protect the seeds and help them get to a new home.
And right here, this is the whole point of everything we've talked about. Inside every single seed is the embryo. It's literally a tiny baby plant, a complete blueprint for a new life. It's got a little radicle, which will grow into the root, and a little plumule, which will become the shoot. Plus, it comes with a packed lunch, a food supply to get it started. Now, based on how this little embryo is built, we split seed into two major camps.
All right, this is the big one, monocot versus dicot. This comparison is absolutely fundamental. The number one way to tell them apart? Count the cotyledons, the seed leaves. Dicots, like die for two, have two of them. Monocots, mono for one, have just one. In a dicot like a bean, the food is actually stored right inside those two big cotyledons. But in a monocot like a corn kernel, there's a special separate tissue called the endosperm that holds all the food. And one more key difference. Monocots have these cool protective sheaths called the coleoptile and coleorhiza, covering the baby shoot and root. You won't find those in a dicot.
Okay, let's pull it all together now. The amazing thing is, all these different features are connected. They're like clues. If you're looking at a plant and you see it has a fibrous root system, you can pretty much guarantee it's a monocot, which means its seeds will only have one cotyledon. On the other hand, if you see a big taproot, you're almost certainly dealing with a dicot and its seeds will have two cotyledons. See how it works? All these parts we've looked at, the roots, the leaves, the flower whorls, they're all the pieces of the puzzle we use to identify and classify every plant out there. So there you have it. You've got the blueprint now. The next time you step outside, I want you to look around differently. Don't just see a bunch of green stuff. I want you to see the battle plan. Spot the taproots and the fibrous roots. Tell the difference between a simple and a compound leaf. Notice those amazing adaptations. You now have the secret decoder ring to understand the incredible world of plant morphology. So what are you going to discover?